Moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's behind us tonight. Keeps moving on us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next regular school committee meetings will be June 11th, July 23rd, August 13th, and September 10th, 2019. The Easthampton High School graduation is Friday, June 7th at 6 p.m. The last day of school is Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. Students and families are encouraged to have a safe and enjoyable summer vacation. And believe it or not, the first day of school for students is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019.
Did we have to go there?
Yep.
I know, what a way to ruin someone's summer.
We went there.
It wasn't the week before?
Alrighty. Now you want to make your introduction?
I am going to make my introduction. I wrote notes.
Good.
So this evening, I am delighted to introduce to the committee the new principal for the high school. Mr. Bill Evans is joining us this evening. Mr. Evans will be joining our school district on July 1st. He comes to us most recently from North Brookfield High School, where he has served as principal since 2012. I'd like to welcome Mr. Evans to our school district and invite him to come up and tell you a little bit about himself and why he chose Easthampton. Welcome, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much for having me this evening, and thank you to the community, to Dr. LeClaire and to the search committee for making me part of your district. I'm very excited about that. Briefly, I'm a resident of Amherst. Two young boys my wife and I raised that are now off to college, not so young anymore. We've been in the area since 2000, so starting to feel like maybe we belong here in the Valley. I have been, as was mentioned, at North Brookfield High School for 7 years. Prior to that, I was an assistant principal across the river in South Hadley for 5 years. I'm really excited to be here. I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have or anything else you want to know.
Anyone have any questions?
I would just, so what was, in your job search, what attracted you to apply for this position?
This is a question from the mayor. So.
I noticed the placard. Thank you very much.
I have no doubt you want to be here, I just, on record.
Sure. Well, so there's a lot of things that attract me to Easthampton High School. One is the size. I think it's really the ideal size for a high school, 9 through 12, just under 500 students. There's a lot you can do. It's not too small, it's not too big. It is, I think, a really interesting community here, obviously a community that has been in transition for some time, which I've been able to sort of watch from our little hamlet up there in Amherst, and been really interested in. I know a number of people who are associated with the town for a number of reasons, and when the opportunity arose, there weren't a lot of jobs that I needed to apply to. I'm pretty happy where I am. We have done some good work. We have a lot of work ahead of us. They do, I guess, is more appropriate now. But there are certain positions that I really felt I needed to make myself available for. And I felt like this community was a good fit for me. I know it's managing some issues, and I feel like I'm somebody that can help with that and continue the work that's being done to move that forward. And there were some personal reasons that, it's closer to where I live, and I feel like it's a place where I can grow professionally. I currently, in the small district that we're in, North Brookfield is very small, and I do a lot of different things. and I feel like I want to start concentrating on the things that I'm really passionate about, and be able to work with a larger team. So this felt like a really good fit.
Great, thank
So,
you.
yeah, thanks for the question.
Can I ask you to elaborate on the things that you're passionate about?
Yeah. So I'm really passionate about changing the way we do school. And it sounds like a very broad statement, but I think when we look at high schools across the nation, not just here, everywhere, when we look at what we teach, how we teach it, and how we assess it, I think there are a lot of things that we do well and a lot of things we can do a lot better. When I look at what we teach, we don't really emphasize the things that our research will show us are the most important things for kids to know, the transferable skills that they'll use no matter where they go, which are not necessarily in the content of our curriculum. They might be, but not explicitly, and I feel like they should be. When we look at how we teach, we really kids learn much better when they're active, when they're engaged, when they are doing, when they are stumbling, when they are figuring things out. How we assess them. You know, when we look at how we assess kids, how much of it is healthy for them? How much of it really measures their learning versus stacks them up against each other? So there's a lot of really deep and great questions that I think are worth exploring and that I'm really passionate about.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you for
having me.
coming.
And enjoy
Welcome.
the rest of your
Welcome.
meeting. All right. Thanks.
We're happy to have you.
Appreciate it.
Do we have correspondence?
No correspondence.
Do we have gifts?
We do. We would like to please vote to accept with gratitude and appreciation the following gifts. From Tandem Bagel, the donations of bagels for the second annual Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day on May 8th.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the gifts from Tana Bacon.
I'll second that. Okay.
All those in favor? Aye.
Big thanks to Tandem.
And that's
I
it,
sent them,
right?
I sent them a thank you note.
Thank you very much.
So now we have public speak. Is there anybody out there who would like to step forward and say anything? Going once, twice? All right, we move on. Okay, so before we have Victoria give her last student representative update, we would
Last
like
one,
to give you
Victoria.
this card and this gift. Thank you very much for
Thank you for doing
your
this
service
for
to
us.
us.
Okay.
All right.
All right, make this a good one.
Okay, I'll try. So, Student Council is hosting a distractology program at the high school where students who have their license or permit are able to learn the dangers of distracted driving and get a $15 gas card. The seniors' last day of classes were today, and they have some senior events like High Meadows and the Boston Harbor Cruise coming up. The high school band and chorus hosted the Great East Festival last week, which is a band and chorus competition. And MCAS Bio for the 10th graders is MCAS Bio and Physics for the 10th graders is June 3rd and 4th. And that's all I have for today. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. Subcommittee reports. We have Finance Subcommittee.
I guess the only announcement is that we have reviewed the sort of, blanking on the right word, but the sort of need to review the budget based on what's been submitted to the City Council, voted by the City Council next Wednesday. And so we've reviewed that, discussed that, and it will be actually brought to us at the next school committee meeting to reflect what those reductions are going to be and how we're going to manage that within the school budget. So we'll get those budgets to us and have a little bit more discussion on it at the next school committee on June 11th.
Thank you. Policy review.
So we have a bunch of second readings. For the benefit of anybody watching, I will just preface what is about to be a slew of votes by explaining that these are all various documents that were in the policy book, which we are removing or replacing because either they were procedures as opposed to actual policy, and we've been working to eliminate procedures from the policy book. or because they were very outdated and have been replaced by more relevant and modern policies. So we've done the first reading where I've explained the decision for each of these at our last meeting, so I will just try to go through these as quickly as possible to approve the second readings. So again, if anybody, as always, has any questions, please do feel free to stop me and we can talk about them. But I would make a motion to accept the second reading to delete BDD school committee procedures.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the second reading to delete BDDR school committee procedures.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to accept the second reading to delete ACABR sexual harassment complaint.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Make a motion to accept the second reading to delete ACABE sexual harassment.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to accept the second reading to delete ACAC general harassment prevention.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to accept the second reading to delete ACBA section 504 and ADA procedures.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to accept the second reading to delete ACBRA discrimination grievance procedure.
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion to accept the second reading to delete AE1 collaborative / site-based decision making.
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion to accept the second reading to delete AEE school committee expectations, visions, values.
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion to accept the second reading to delete AFCR evaluation of professional staff.
Second.
Shannon, that was Shannon's turn. So you seconded, John?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
And a motion to accept the second reading to replace MASC BDD, to delete EPSD BCD and replace it with MASC BDD. Yes.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
All those in favor?
Thank you. I always feel like this looks like a parody of bad government when we do this, but we actually have reviewed all of these carefully. There has been real human discussion. This is just the very bureaucratic part of it.
With really nice modern replacements. So, all right, thank you. Now a collaborative?
Well, I know I said last time I would have an update, but our next meeting is actually tomorrow. So
Oh, okay.
I misjudged on my calendar ever so slightly.
So it'll be at the June 11th
Yeah,
meeting?
meeting in Northampton tomorrow, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you about it next time.
Okay, nice and close. Education policy
I don't have
update?
anything tonight.
Okay.
Anything from... Oh, did you want to talk about the Springfield?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a fantastic opportunity for educators and supporters of public education to band together on the steps of City Hall in Springfield. There were hundreds of people in Springfield and thousands in Boston, and we're all fighting to see the proper funding of public education. And we had at least 4, 5 state reps from the Valley there. And Senator Joe Comerford was there, so they're listening, and we are truly hopeful that there will be movement by June before the summer. So, and the Senate actually was taking it up last Friday, and it's positive. So, and it was great to be with Easthampton educators. Jason was there. We got some photos, and I went with students from West Springfield. It was wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Wellness, do we have an update?
We have not had another
Okay.
meeting.
How about health and safety?
We've not had a meeting.
See, this is going to be a really short meeting. Okay, so now we're at other. So I have a proposal to make, and I don't know how many people were planning on going to the August 13th school committee meeting, but I cannot be there, and I know Maren cannot be there.
I can't be there either.
Okay, and you cannot be there, so what we were hoping is that we could change it to August 20th,
For the other conference, for the little conference.
and we'd use the little
So now
conference
this
room.
room is
I can make it August 20th.
You cannot.
Depending on travel, I I'm coming back. I'm not sure if I'd make it for 6, but I planned on the 13th.
So we're kind of at an iffy place because there's a possibility that there will be 3 for the 13th, which is that's not a quorum.
So what about the 27th would be another option? Again, we're trying to
could
look at
do
a way
that.
to do one that would still be before the beginning of the school year.
I can definitely do the 27th.
Is better.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Great.
All right, ooh, that's fine.
It's the first day of school. We got nothing going on.
It's, okay, so the August meeting is going to not be on the 13th, and it's going to be August 27th, and everybody can make it?
I can do that.
Awesome, that was a nice, easy fix. Thank you. Okay, superintendent update.
So if it's all right with everyone, I'm going to change the order here a little bit. I'm going to start with the ELF grants.
Okay.
I have another other.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes,
Is that okay?
yes.
Can I put it on record that I would like to march in the parade next year? For Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
We didn't get an invitation. Are
Yeah.
we supposed to?
We don't get an invitation to that. And
I'm inviting myself.
And others did as well. But certainly I will make a note and make sure that I will
Thank
talk
you.
to our district, yes.
I mean, provided I'm on the school committee.
Okay. All right, sounds
Also with a
good.
sash. Sorry.
So,
Yeah, I guess historically, no school committee has been marching for
we go to
quite
the
some
Holyoke
time,
parade,
ever.
so.
I know, but
I
we do
know.
march in the St. Patrick's Day, and I think it would be a nice thing.
Easily corrected.
Okay,
On it,
so
Rachel.
we're going to correct it for next year. Sounds good. Thank you, Shannon.
So,
Can I
so
have one more other?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You are never getting
Just
to
one
this,
more.
forget it. Yes.
Just
I am
because
trying,
it's before
guys.
the summer, and I did mention it in a previous school committee meeting, and I posted it recently on my school committee Facebook page. After reading about Holyoke's two-way immersion program expanding by 40% next year because it's so successful, I really want to move forward and inviting anyone in the community who would like to join a focus group to please get in touch with me to see how we can proceed to plan a two-way immersion program for our new elementary school.
All right.
Let it be on record.
are we done?
I think we're done. I think it's safe to go on.
Okay, so
thank you.
this evening, we're presenting some information to all of you around the ELF grants that are given every year to worthy educators in the district. And I'm not sure that you've ever had a presentation here, but the ELF Foundation has a simple goal. They work to build an endowment of about $1 million to provide grants from their earnings. This is the Easthampton Learning Foundation. 100% of the funds that they raise are for educators to have innovative, hands-on learning programs which otherwise would not be funded in our local school budget. So I did ask the recipients of this year's ELF grants if they would come and talk to you just for a moment or two. So this evening we have Amy Gauger and Jess Miller. We have Pat Lennon, Jared Orn, Eileen Clavalou, and Quinn Lockhart Renahan. Did I say? I always call you, just say Quinn. So if I could invite all of you up, they're going to come up to the podium and just talk to you a little bit about the grants that they have been awarded and how they've used them to do innovative things in our community with our children. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming.
So we brought one of our student leaders
Wow.
with us so that she could share a little bit with you all as well.
Amazing.
So good evening. I would like to start by thanking Dr. LeClaire for the invitation to be here. This is the first time we've been invited, so it's very exciting. So my name is Amy Gauger. I've been teaching in Easthampton since 2006, and I currently teach 3rd grade at Center Pepin. In the fall of 2007, I was just preparing to start my 2nd school year in Easthampton, and I went to school to meet our new principal. During our conversation, we talked about the lack of clubs for students and also the lack of opportunities for students to collaborate together on projects and take ownership over their school community. It was in that conversation and a few other conversations that followed that the Center Pepin Student Leadership Club was born as a before-school club with about 15 4th grade students that first year. The following year, with my principal's encouragement, I applied for an ELF grant for the first time to help support the club. And the rest, you could say, is history. Here we still are. Since that time, the club has steadily grown to between 40 and 50 students participating each year. And as we expanded to include both 3rd and 4th grade students. And as the club grew, I knew that I could not do this alone any longer. So Jessica Miller was nice enough to come join me as a co-advisor, and she is a kindergarten teacher at Center Pepin. So each fall, all 3rd and 4th grade students at Center and Pepin are invited to have the opportunity to sign up to be a part of Student Leadership Club. Students signing up need the endorsement of their classroom teacher, and they need to be in good standing both academically and behaviorally. And thanks to the generous support of the Easthampton Learning Foundation, we have done countless projects over the years. We meet twice a month before school at 8 a.m., so they are my early birds getting there before school. And during our meetings, the student leaders brainstorm and plan projects that will benefit our school, community, and the larger world. Some of the projects we've completed in the past includes a school-wide collection of items for the Callie Rose Foundation, which is run by a family right here in Easthampton. A stuffed animal drive to benefit the Easthampton Police and Fire Departments. Pennies for Patients for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Hats On Day to benefit kids with cancer. We did a mathathon to support St. Jude. We've also collected can tabs for Shriners Hospitals. We have done numerous food drives that have benefited both the Easthampton Community Center and the Food Bank of Western Mass. And countless projects to support Dakin Animal Shelter, which is always a Student Leadership Club favorite. We've even taken field trips during school vacation weeks to both Dakin Animal Shelter and the Western Mass Food Bank in the past. So this year we have 46 students participating in Student Leadership Club. This year's student leaders planned the following projects for students and staff at Center Pepin. In December, we built a snowman in each classroom to raise money for the Easthampton Toy Fund. We did a school-wide December Spirit Week, which ended with a secret snowflake class surprise.
It was fun.
Hopefully you could hear her. She said that was fun. We collected food as part of the nationwide Super Bowl of Caring and then donated it to the Easthampton Community Center. We created Valentine's cards for residents at Lathrop Community in Easthampton. And we did our first ever Center Pepin Readathon. And our current project is a thank you to the Easthampton Police and Fire Departments.
So at this time, we would like to introduce one of our current members. Do you want to come stand over here so they can see you?
Yeah,
This
so
is
we can
Katie
see.
Cleland.
Hi.
She is a 3rd grader at Center Pepin, and she is currently part of the Student Leadership Club, and she's going to share one of her favorite parts. So what's
Okay,
your
the
favorite
one
part
thing
of
is,
student
if
leadership?
she's not in front of the microphone, it's not going to get picked up.
Could you might be
Wanna
able to
come
just
on
move
this
it.
We can move
Can we
it.
move
Just
the
bring it
mic-
around so
There
we
you
put it on
go.
the front. It's
Here.
should be pretty movable.
Let me stand with you.
There
Okay?
you go.
There you go.
You're gonna be a star.
One of my favorite things about Student Leadership Club is that like all the stuff we do, like even though we're only like not like the biggest group of kids, our school has a lot of kids, and like so it's easy to like get a lot of like money, or like for the readathon we like had a challenge to see how many minutes we read, and we actually read a lot. And we raised a lot of money, and like if it was just Student Leadership Club, we wouldn't have raised as much, but with the whole school, like it's easier.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Nice job.
Great. So we just wanted to thank you again for inviting us tonight, and thank you to the Easthampton Learning Foundation for funding us year after year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quinn?
Montek Renahan, the design technology teacher at the high school. Thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. I was very happy to receive an ELF grant this year in support of a unit in my design technology class that was on design for additive manufacturing. It was a partnership with the UMass Advanced Digital Design and Fabrication Lab. Additive manufacturing is sort of the industry term for 3D printing. So it was essentially focused on sort of industry grade 3D printing. I could probably spend my whole time talking about sort of what the unit goals were in the project. Essentially, at AdFab, which is the acronym for the lab at UMass, they have an array of like industry grade 3D printers, really cutting edge technology, and some of the printers they have there and in the industry at large are really capable, or starting to be capable, of producing usable parts, where in the past it's been more prototyping, more models, especially the printers that print in steel and other metals are starting to produce parts for industry for use right out of the printer. So the design element, it's to create those parts, you wouldn't just be taking sort of the traditional part and making it in the new machine. It's really back to the drawing board with the design process, and because these machines can make very complex parts, it's really about redesigning a part with added complexity so that it performs better. So in the course of the unit, we studied 4 techniques that designers and engineers are using. I have a handout if anybody's interested that would go a little bit more into that, show a couple pictures just briefly, which I'll just pass this stack and can hand them down. So I won't go too deeply in that, but we essentially got the kids trying some of these techniques at the high school. Essentially what the funding was used for, I should say I did get some additional funding from Connecting Activities grant, but we were able to take 2 classes on a field trip to UMass. We really packed it. It was like the lab is pretty small, so we had some constraints, so we split off and went to a bunch of different places and really got a lot packed into one day. It was the AdFab we went to the Digital Media Lab at the library, and we went to the College of Engineering at UMass. And then we had a lunch with some representatives, a lunch and learn event with some representatives from Hewlett-Packard talking about their latest 3D printing innovations. So that was one part, and the second part of the funding was for students to have their projects, which was sort of the summative assessment of the unit, printed at UMass and at the AdFab on their machines. Not in metal, but they're printed in nylon, and so it's some pretty it's a lot higher quality prints than we could have at our school. So the field trip and the project, I think, were really got great reviews from students, a lot of positive feedback, especially the trip. It was really cool for them to see that, to kick off the project, and the prints are actually printing as we speak, and they'll probably be going into the night and perhaps into the morning, and we'll get them sometime later this week. So I'd just like to thank the Learning Foundation. It's great to have a group like that supporting what we do in the classroom and allowing our students to have these opportunities. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lennon, how are you?
Hi, how are you? My name is Pat Lennon. I'm the White Brook Middle School band director, and I also teach the Easthampton Learning Foundation Jazz Ensemble. I've directed the band for the past 10 years. This group is comprised of 7th through 12th grade students that are committed to the understanding and studying of art, and also looking to learn how to play jazz music. We provide educational opportunities for this ensemble through rigorous preparation for public performances and jazz festivals. The Easthampton Learning Foundation Jazz Ensemble has been extremely fortunate and blessed to perform with some of the top stages in the area and compete at national festivals such as the Berkeley Jazz Festival, the UMass Jazz Festival, the HCC Jazz Festival, and the Essentially Ellington Jazz Festival. At these festivals, we've received a lot of positive feedback and have been given some fantastic advice and compliments from some of the industry's top performing artists and teachers throughout the area and throughout the world. Such comments have been said to the group from some of these folks, and I encourage you to possibly Google them or YouTube them to see the significance of who these folks are. Jeff Holmes, the Director of Jazz and African Studies at UMass. I love the energy of this band it creates. You have such a cohesive sound for such a large ensemble. Lynn Biviano, who's a professional musician and also a professor at Berkeley College. This is a fantastic group of young musicians, and I cannot get over how young they are and how mature they sound. Bob Ferrier, the Director of Jazz at Holyoke Community College. I love to hear a group that sounds like this so close to us, and you guys have a lot of heart and soul. In the past, we've also performed at the Grinspoon Awards and also the Easthampton Learning Foundation fundraising events that have happened at the Log Cabin, Arts Walks, and also just recently we performed for Tom Brown's retirement at the Easthampton Savings Bank.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The wind didn't necessarily cooperate with us, but it was great. Several of our students have come through this group and gone on to further their studies in music and in jazz. We currently have past and present students that have represented us at a district level, a state level, and also at a national level. We have several students that are going into careers such as education, performers, and film scoring and producing. We currently have 2 graduates of the Easthampton Learning Foundation Jazz Ensemble that are both on scholarships, one to the University of Maine and one to Berkeley College of Music. Some of our students have been recognized and performed with such famous musicians as Wynton Marsalis, Steve Davis, and Leonard Skinner. Also, we have had students perform at such venues as the Newport Jazz Festival. This group has been made possible by the outstanding efforts and contributions of the Easthampton Learning Foundation, and we look forward to its future, and we want to thank you again for funding this because it's a huge success in our schools. So thank you
for all that you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Oren?
So, hello everyone, I'm Jared Orn, and I'm in my 15th year teaching history at Easthampton High School, but I've actually been an Eagle for 19 years because I'm a proud member of the EHS class of 2000. So with the help provided by the Easthampton Learning Foundation, the EHS Model UN Club was able to attend a 3-day conference at UMass Amherst this past March. 26 students were able to attend the conference this year. This is the most we have ever had in the 15 years I have been the advisor for this club. Model UN is a simulation of the United Nations that offers students the opportunity to debate critical issues facing the global community. Students learn about their respective nations' involvement in selected issues, develop and communicate their country's positions on the issue, and test their negotiation skills. Over 300 students attend this conference every year at UMass from all over New England. Throughout this entire process, they're able to practice their research, writing, and public speaking skills. EHS students have tackled issues like the AIDS epidemic in Africa and the use of child soldiers in the African Union Committee, addiction, vaccination, and health access in rural areas in the World Health Organization, and climate change in the disposal of chemicals and waste in the UN Environment Program, to name a few of the committees that our students participated in this past March. EHS students have represented the United States, Canada, Finland, Switzerland, Russia, Mauritania, Japan, India, and France, to name a few, over the past several years that we have been attending the UMass Model UN Conference. I have also been fortunate to be a part of the History Academy, so the Social Studies Department at the high school has also applied for a grant. And for the past 5 years, we have taken 50 plus ninth graders to UMass every year. We get a tour of the campus by 2 to 3 UMass graduate students in the history department. We have a mini lecture with a history professor so they can see what it's like to be in a college class. We go to the 26th floor of the UMass library to do some archival research, and the highlight of the day is eating at the dining commons. And we've been able to bring at least half, if not 3/4 of the ninth graders every year. And we could not do these events, we could not participate in Model UN without the Easthampton Learning Foundation. So thank you to them, and thank you for letting us speak tonight.
Thank you. And Mrs. Clavelou.
I am Eileen Clavelou, and I'm part of the technology department at Easthampton High School. I teach media arts. So, of course, I have a PowerPoint. So, give me a moment. All right, so I have been receiving ELF grants for the past 12 years. Is it possible to turn lights down so we can see this better?
Yeah. I think you can turn. Yeah. Just hit a few of those.
Is that any better?
Oh, much better.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the Arts Festival is an attempt to, first of all, highlight student art from Easthampton High School to this community, which is very much an arts community, and to give a very professional level experience to our students. So it has been a remarkable collaboration between Jean-Pierre Pache at Big Red Frame and Eluzzi Gallery and Pasqualina Azzarello at Easthampton City Arts. They donate their gallery space for approximately a month out of the year, which is pretty incredible. They take no commissions, and Jean-Pierre helps our kids frame work and prepare it for the Arts Festival. So again, this idea of a professional level. So he charges for materials. And the patience of that man as he helps the kids go over, you know, picking the mapboard, picking the frame, and how these things make a difference to your work. And then we come back. So during my prep periods, I bring kids back and forth and help him, essentially help these kids prepare their work. So again, this was the 12th year, and these are some photos of some of our students from this year preparing work for the show. So to the left, Nelson Alicea with his self-portrait, which was a highlight of the show, I have to say. And Kayla Patnode with her work, and this was one of a series. She did a wonderful series of Shannon's daughter, which was on our card, which I believe all of you should have received. And she did many others, and it was a really terrific series of pieces. She was from my Graphic Arts 2 class. Nelson was from Graphic Arts 1.
She definitely captured that girl.
We did ask her permission before we put her on the card. She seemed pleased with it.
She was.
So this is one of our seniors, Grace LaFlamme. She had a huge piece. So Jean-Pierre's given me limits on sizes, and I keep breaking them. So I love to see the work big. And so he always very kindly goes along with it. So Grace's piece is pretty enormous and required special sizes for mapboard, etc. But it really looks pretty stunning. So this is Janine DiCarlo with a framed image she took of her brother, Brianna Rodriguez, helping hang the show. So students take part in all aspects. These are some students at the opening, and a teacher and para and one of our students. Some more, it's really hard to make out, sorry. And Grace and her mom at the opening, May 11th. And again, these all take place at the Old Town Hall. And this is just a shot, a gallery shot. So we added a component at EHS because we really wanted to try to increase attendance. We don't get the families into the gallery show. It takes place during Art Walk on a Saturday. We're talking about maybe changing Art Walk days, but anyway, we added this Cafe Common component to engage more viewers. There I'm able to screen videos from multimedia students, and we have lots and lots of pieces from graphic arts and studio art students. And again, these are looking really dull here with the lights, but these are some of the pieces. These are actually pieces from my graphic arts 2 class. We do a Lewis Hine project, and many of you, I'm sure, saw the piece in the Gazette about the Lewis Hine photos. Lewis Hine was a very famous photographer and social activist who came to Easthampton in 1912 and took some of photos of some of the mill children here, mill workers. And he was instrumental in having child labor laws changed. So for the past couple of years, I've been doing a project with my graphic arts kids, and this is one of his photos, to sort of reimagine the Lewis Hine images in contemporary Easthampton. So we go outside, we try to get to some of the locations that Lewis Hine went to. Let me just go back. So this is 2 young spinners. Kelly Brown's class is collaborated with my graphic arts class this year, and they are trying to find the names of these children. So if you have any ideas, let me know, and I will pass it on. But they're all online. They are all at on the Library of Congress website, but also a historian in Florence, Joe Manning, who came to talk to our kids, has done a lot of work with these photos and has helped them figure out how to go about finding anonymous children from over 100 years ago. So this is an example of one of the pieces by a student artist, and again, it's rather difficult to see in this light, but it's kind of a wonderful piece. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that one last batch, there it is, that's better, yeah. So these are collages, and we've had an artist who does a lot of photo collages come in to talk to the kids, show his work, and inspire them to go and reinterpret these Lewis Hine photos. So it's been a really exciting project, and the kids really enjoy it. So these are some pieces that were in the Cafe Commons component. Graphic arts piece. Another Lewis Hine piece. A shot of the artist with her family. So, conclusions. We've attracted a lot of community members to the gallery shows, but we are about ready to pull the plug on the gallery shows. We just can't get the students in. I send cards to everyone. I alert everybody to the show, and very few school community people come. So the Cafe Commons show has attracted a lot of the school community primarily because of the spring concert. And the gallery shows get taken down tomorrow. So if you can get there before about 12:30, you can still see it. So thank you for inviting me to show this work. I think the work the kids do is really pretty remarkable, and I'm very happy to show it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to thank everyone that came tonight to give us kind of an insight into what the ELF grants fund. We very much appreciate it. There are other ELF grants in the community. Not all of our recipients could come this evening, but they do fund other programs such as our elementary school garden projects. Those are funded through ELF grants. So without the ELF Foundation, I think we would be hard pressed to do some of the amazing innovative work that our faculty is doing every year. So thank you all very much for applying for these grants and doing all the hard work associated with it. We very much appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm just going to walk up because I have a couple things I just want to go over tonight, and I will be brief. So we have the evaluation for my position, for the superintendent's position, in a green folder. And I think that Cindy is going to give you information about timelines that you need to adhere to. All I wanted to do is just take a moment to orient you to the folder because there's a few levels of things in here. So the top set of papers includes the actual evaluation document that you'll be filling out and submitting to Cindy. I do want to just let you know, though, that the top sheet of the evaluation is actually the summary of what's underneath it. So the actual evaluation tool is in the pages after it. So you need to do those first, and then you summarize what you found on the top sheet. So that's the way it's set up from the Department of Ed. So just to kind of give you that orientation. With that, right underneath that, I have submitted to you an update of the goals. Oh, actually, the goals sheet that is in here is not the update. It doesn't have the end of year progress, which I will send to you. Oh, there it is. It's further along. It's further along. I've given you a kind of a table of contents with some samples of collection of evidence. I've also, at the bottom of the page, it looks like this, with kind of an outline of some evidence that's included in here. I also asked the administrative team to evaluate me, and so I've summarized their evaluation for me down below. You can use that as a guide if you'd like. And then beyond that, I've clipped together information around different standards. So standard 2, there's a packet of information that you can refer to if you're looking for any of that. Standard 3, there's a little packet, and standard 4, there's just packets of evidence that you can go through. I tried not to give you too much because I think that throughout the year you hear different presentations, you get different bits of information from me, so I just tried to highlight some areas that maybe you're not as aware of. So any questions on that? Okay. Cindy, did you want to give them timelines?
So, just so the public knows, this is going to be, the results of this evaluation will be announced on June 11th. For our school committee members, I need everything back by June 3rd. So, just so you know,
sorry.
It's part of a plan that was created by
Sorry.
School committee members don't talk amongst themselves when they're evaluating. This is really something done individually. Then I get all of them, look at them, write down exactly how many school committee members gave this as a rating, and then we announce that all on our June 11th meeting. So school committee members, I ask that you please return it to my house by June 3rd, and that will give me time to put it all together And then we will announce your evaluation results on June 11th at our next meeting.
Madam Chair, are we going, we're going to do the hard copy and then get that to you?
What you're going to give back to me is this part, just this.
Just this, okay.
Okay? I don't
In
need
hard
the
copy.
evidence.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
You keep that, and then I go back and forth and count up who did what.
There's some commentary sections. Is that something that we can either, do you want us to email it to you, or do you want us to print it and give it as a hard copy to you?
Whatever is best for people. This
Depends on how
part,
you're gonna use it, so.
well, you know, if you're gonna have to hand me this, you might as well kind of write right on this. I think it's probably easier.
Do you
But
want that
if-
electronically? I can give it to you electronically. if
But you
want it.
certainly can.
That was
We've
so
done it electronically in
I
the
always
past.
type comments.
You don't
in.
want
Yeah.
electronic?
Can we
Last year
just submit
was
it to you
fine.
via email like last year?
My one concern with that is we are looking for the June 3rd meeting. And June 11th, but June 3rd is a get back date. And last year, we had a lot of technical difficulties. So people would tell me that they sent the material and we couldn't access it. So I'm gonna ask that if we don't, if I don't acknowledge that I got it on the first try, then please print. You can just print what you have and drop it to the house. How's that? Okay, I understand wanting to do it electronically, but it was really a nightmare last year. It just, for some reason, that program was not working.
So will you email out electronic version
You have
to
enough for
the
everybody else.
members then?
I could, but she said she'd, are
No,
you saying you don't want me to?
We can do it, but
Oh,
when they
okay.
try to send it to me, if I can't receive
Oh.
it, then I'm gonna ask the people print it.
Yes, so you-
Whoever
I
I
can
can't
give you
receive,
that,
like,
yeah.
I think last year yours came through.
And then I helped other people. I remember I told them what I did.
But there were a number of people who had to print up, so,
My
you know.
comments, yeah.
I'll send it to you electronically tomorrow morning for anyone that wants it that way.
You know,
send it to all
technology
of
is
you.
wonderful when it works perfectly, and when it doesn't, it's miserable. So I will be screaming ouch and asking you to print if it doesn't come through.
And meeting you in the side of the road.
Okay, yeah.
So, this is not on the agenda, but I did want to give you a brief update, less than 5 minutes, about the Equity Committee's work, because we are getting to the end of the school year, and I thought for the public, they may want to hear from them. So, for the high school Equity Committee, the 9/12 Equity Committee, they have developed and recorded a video this year that is representative of the members of that committee. And they did this video to help to gain interest by other students and community members. They've shown it in advisory classes, and it's been, I think it's on their equity information that they've sent out, but I didn't know if all of you have seen it yet, so, and the public that may be watching tonight, so I want to share it with you, and I have it hooked up to speakers, so hopefully you will be able to hear
The
it.
Equity Steering Commission is part of a plan that was created by the district to address the issues of racism and bias that led to the 2016 walkout.
Como grupo creemos que el sesgo existe en muchas formas y lugares. Se puede encontrar en chistes pequeños sin sentido o en insultos fragantes, en el habla o en la política. Puede venir de estudiantes o adultos.
Our goal is to create a school community in which the overall group believes that bias is unacceptable and recognizes when it occurs.
El año pasado trabajamos principalmente para recopilar los datos sobre la cultura de la escuela, administrativos, varias cuentas, leemos informes y organizamos grupos de enfoque para tratar de comprender lo que realmente estaba sucediendo.
This process was extremely important because it tells us what needs to change. It also lets us know whether our future attempts are working because we can compare them to this early data.
Sin embargo, no era muy visible, por lo que muchas personas no estaban conscientes de nuestro trabajo en ese primer año.
Many people in surveys and focus groups were confused as to why this group existed and what specific issues we were working to address. The data we collected shows that issues of bias still definitely exist within our school. Here are some of the things we found.
El año pasado, en una encuesta incluida en el MCAS, la MCAS, los estudiantes de segundo año de Easthampton High School informaron que estas cosas son siempre o más o menos verdaderas con menos frecuencia que la escuela promedio de Massachusetts. Los estudiantes se respetan mutuamente. Los estudiantes de diferentes orígenes se llevan bien entre ellos en nuestra escuela, independientemente de su raza, cultura, antecedentes familiares, sexo o orientación sexual.
The data from our group surveys and focus groups showed discrimination issues still present at EHS today.
50% of students reported hearing racist comments at least once a week, which is no significant change from the time of the walkout. 40% of students said that no one intervened. There continue to be regular comments at school and online that are racist, LGBTQ-phobic, and sexist, as well as instances of sexual harassment and religious oppression.
Hubo varios comentarios de la supremacía blanca en la escuela de estudiantes. Soy blanco y esa es la mejor raza. Soy un cristiano blanco y nadie más es tan bueno como eso.
Yes, people actually said those things.
También aprendemos que los esfuerzos del año pasado para mejorar el clima escolar fueron de alguna manera útiles, pero no completamente exitosos. Hay más charla y conciencia sobre el racismo, los problemas de LGBTQ, el sexismo, etc., pero el clima aún no ha cambiado.
There are also more initiatives for student participation, such as this group, Spirit and Student Council, and Diversity Club, but they're not coordinating with each other.
Finalmente, aprendimos que algunas personas sienten negativamente acerca de nuestros esfuerzos. No nos sorprendieron esto, pero sí queremos cambiarlo.
Some white students feel that they suffer from diversity initiatives trying to make the school more equitable. It can be uncomfortable for a group that started in a comfortable position to go through change. At the same time, the old situation at EHS was and is unjust and needs to happen.
Algunos estudiantes todavía dicen que no les importa o sienten que estos problemas no existen. La mayoría numérica de las personas no están experimentando los problemas. Por lo que podemos decir, nuestros datos demuestran que estos problemas aún existen. Estos problemas son importantes hasta que nadie en EHS los experimente, en absoluto. Hasta entonces, nuestro trabajo no está terminado.
There was a lot of hostility from parents about this work being a waste of time or a distraction from learning. We want to amp up our communication with the Easthampton community and try to change this perception. The issues today may be a little less blatant than they were a few years ago, but they still exist, and it's hard to work on that with a hostile outside environment.
Last year, our main goal was to understand the situation within EHS and make a plan for improving it. This year, we're beginning to implement the potential solutions we came up with. Here are some things we've already done this year.
Estuvimos involucrados en la New Student Barbecue de este año, ayudando a los nuevos estudiantes a pasar a Easthampton High School. Hemos estado compartiendo información sobre nuestro trabajo y eventos en las actualizaciones de Eagles que se envían a los padres.
Hemos creado grupos de decisiones para que los estudiantes hablen sobre temas de diversidad y abrimos capacitaciones para que los estudiantes mejoren sus habilidades en torno a esos temas.
We've discussed the different goals of each group that's trying to improve school climate, and we're trying to coordinate their efforts. There have been staff trainings around discrimination, and there will be more. A yearly review of district policy around discrimination and discipline is now occurring.
Esas son algunas de las actividades que ya han comenzado. También tenemos muchas iniciativas que estamos planeando comenzar pronto.
Create a website to share our work and field questions about it so the public can know what we're doing. Hold community discussions to continue learning about the climate within the school and the town. Develop curriculum across the district for emotional work and mindfulness. Have shared meetings between the clubs working towards diversity.
Utilizar las redes sociales para comunicar con Easthampton en su totalidad. Crear un comité para asegurarse de que los esfuerzos de diversidad sean continuos en todos los niveles de grado. Repetir la encuesta del año pasado para ver qué ha cambiado.
That's a general overview of what we've been doing for the past year and a half. We've made some change and we expect to make a lot more with our current plan, but we need your help.
Actualmente los estudiantes constituyen una minoría de este grupo y no es así como los queremos. Debería haber más estudiantes informando este trabajo que cualquier otro grupo.
You can go to room 104 and get information on joining the group. We usually meet once a month on Thursday evenings, but you don't have to come to every meeting. The more voices, the better.
Si le gusta lo que estamos haciendo y quiere ayudarnos a hacerlo mejor, o si no le gusta a algunos de nuestros planes y piensa que deberíamos hacer otras cosas, venga y cuéntenos.
This is your school. We're trying to make it better for you and your fellow students. Come help us do that.
Esta es tu escuela. Estamos tratando de mejorarla para ustedes y sus compañeros. Ven y ayúdenos a hacer eso.
They did a nice job, and I think that they really tried to show who they are, what they've been doing, and they're really trying to get the message out to empower the students more at the high school. You know, this is not a challenge that we can wave our magic wand and fix overnight. This is something that will take quite a while to address, and it's going to be ongoing work that we should be ready to dive into. Just to summarize a few things that they've been doing at the high school, they've been monitoring the implementation of all of the recommendations for last year. They've been creating the materials to recruit new members to the committee. They're making new recommendations based on the current data they have for next year. One of the big things that they're doing is they're really thoughtfully planning the onboarding of our new high school principal, who they really want to be an integral member of their committee. And they're hoping to kind of bring that person on board, bring Mr. Evans on board, and have him kind of become part of the recommendations. But I do want to say, just before I end, that the pre-K through 8 Equity Committee has also been meeting all year long. And they are, excuse me, they've been really working to empower students at the elementary and middle school level as well. And they're really thinking with a mindset towards bringing all the school cultures together into one building in a few years. And they're thinking about what that transition is going to be about and what kinds of things that that community is going to stand for and the message that they want to bring to that new school. So they've been working hard as well, and I didn't want anyone to forget that they're also making great strides as well. So that's all I wanted to say about that, but I just did want to give you an update on that.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything about it, Shan? Because I know you're on the high school committee.
I didn't realize we're already done. I mean, we're basically done for the year. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing group to work with throughout the last year and a half. Just bringing everybody together with their different cultures and different views on how, what you didn't see were the two teachers that are in the group. They had problems with their videos. So Ms. Mason and
Quinn,
thank you. Yeah. Their videos didn't make it intertwined with it, but I would like to see a bigger group next year. And that's why we did the video, because people really didn't know who we were.
So I actually have two questions. So how available is the video and where is it going out?
It is actually on our link on the school web page.
Any other places that it's showing?
I know that they showed it at the high school during advisories.
All the advisory classes.
So everybody but the senior class saw it.
Basically, that was my question.
Yeah, so everybody saw it, and they were going to bring it down to the 8th grade.
Okay,
And I'm
excellent,
not sure if that has
excellent. I
happened
like
yet.
that idea.
I'm not sure.
My next question is, your video talked about having a difficulty getting more students involved. Do you have any sense as to what's holding them back?
It's
Is
hard
it
work.
time commitment?
It's not the time commitment. It's hard work, and it's hard to to get a grasp on it. You know what I mean? At the beginning, I was just kind of sitting there trying to figure my way in. You know what I mean? But once you get there and once you feel, the group's, intensity, it's amazing, and they do really good things, and the kids that we have had have been amazing. But they're all seniors.
They're seniors.
I love the idea of showing it down at the 8th grade. That's excellent. Nice idea. Great video.
A comment on this. One of the things that came up in our work with the Department of Justice and the City Spirit program, as well as the Community Relations Committee that's just started to meet. We're actually in work session to figure out process and protocol. But over and over again, the Department of Justice facilitator for School Spirit, Mohammed Ali Salam, who's retired, said it should be, School Spirit should have some link to the City Spirit. And maybe that is something that can be explored over the summer. Alice Watermaker is going to be one of my summer interns, and she seems familiar with all this. So,
absolutely.
So maybe that'll be one of her projects. But would really welcome suggestions or opportunities. I know with school student, the scheduling is different, but
right. That was one of our goals this year, was to get the groups together and kind of come up with we're all doing the same thing, only different. And we really wanted to get together, so that's kind of at the top of our agenda for next year, is to really, catch up with everybody else in the other groups that we have going on at the high school right now.
I appreciate how it was done bilingually.
Yes.
I think that was the kids' decision to do that. Yeah.
It's a great video.
Alice did an amazing job.
The last thing on my piece is the proposed 2019-20 meals pricing recommendation. That's in your packet. Towards the end, it's I think it's the third to the last page at the end. You can see the current 2018-19 prices and the recommended pricing, which is based on a review of all of the local area pricing and the USDA standard. Kind of gives us a benchmark for what we have to aim for. So there is a little bit of an increase at all levels proposed for next year. So I don't know if that's something that you want to absorb and think about and maybe vote on the June 11th committee meeting, or do you normally vote that in one fell swoop? Or?
I have a question about how, I don't know if this is something that you're familiar with, but obviously we have a certain population of students who are on free meals, and therefore they wouldn't be affected by these changes. But
That's correct.
I think the families that I worry about most are those that are at the margins, where they don't qualify for that kind of support, but any increase might, they might feel that. Are these USDA standards in any way linked to adjustments made to the qualifications for who meets free and reduced lunch? I
don't honestly know that, but I can ask Dale.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Just curious though.
Yeah.
We're really talking about minimal
They're small,
increases.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really minimal.
Yeah.
15 cents, 10
Right.
cents.
Right.
Right.
Do we know how many meals on average we serve between the sort of free, reduced, and full payment?
I don't
scales
have
too?
it broken down. I mean, and it's different at the different levels. They do serve more meals at the lower levels than the high school. And the high school is more, I don't know if a la carte is the way to say it, but there are more like different options at the high school.
Yep.
So the kids can take just like one thing, and they don't necessarily need to get a whole meal. But, so there's more of that going on at the high school level. But and just to give you a reference point, there has not been an adjustment since the 2016-17 school year.
Right.
So this committee has never voted for an adjustment.
It's interesting that the USDA has a mandatory minimum.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
surprising thing.
And that's why we're forced to raise some of our
Okay,
prices.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have no problem voting on this tonight. Any discussion? For my part, I mean, I just think that these are very reasonable, very, very, very modest increases. Do we have any more discussion before we vote? Do we have a motion to accept these?
I'll make a motion to accept the increase of school prices
Okay.
for meals.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So matters for action.
I move to approve the school payroll dated May 23rd, 2019 in the amount of $553,348.37.
Second.
All those in favor?
I move to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated May 23rd, 2019 in the amount of $243,026.41.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I move to approve the minutes from our regular session meeting on May 14, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor? All right.
I'll abstain.
Okay. All righty. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Meeting is adjourned.